England beat France 6-4 for bronze, but Thomas Tuchel's biggest World Cup problem survived the party.
Tablo Sports has Jude Bellingham's record, Kylian Mbappe's golden boot lead, and fresh concern over Mainoo. England's bronze changes the verdict, but first we've got to deal with the France chaos. England's campaign ended with bronze and a scoreline that looks more like a dare than a defensive plan. Before we praise Thomas Tuchel too loudly, let's deal with what happened in Miami. England beat France 6-4 to finish third at 2026 World Cup. The result is historic, but third place shouldn't be dressed up as a final appearance. England's attack was ruthless enough to win the night, while 4 conceded goals keep the tactical verdict uncomfortable. The celebration is deserved. The defensive questions are still waiting outside the dressing room. England beat France 6-4 in Miami to win the World Cup third-place playoff, securing their best World Cup finish since 1966. Bukayo Saka's hat-trick led the way, but this wasn't a clean statement of control. It was football with the volume knob snapped off. 10 goals in one match tells you England were dangerous. It also tells you France kept finding routes through them, which matters when stronger opponents stop treating defensive transitions like an optional extra. Saka supplied the edge, but the scoreline turned the party into a tactical argument. Tuchel deserves credit for getting England to third. That finish is real, and it beats every English World Cup campaign since 1966. But England weren't finalists, and this wasn't a semi-final. The bronze medal is a major achievement, not a substitute for the match they lost before it. For supporters, the emotional swing is obvious. Pride has replaced disappointment. That's fair. Yet a team that concedes 4 can't simply point at 6 goals and declare the system solved. England's attack has arrived. Their rest defense still looks like it's waiting for the luggage. One English player made that chaos look historic for a second reason. Jude Bellingham's late goal against France rewrote England's single tournament record, and it changes how this campaign will be remembered. Jude Bellingham breaks England's single World Cup scoring record. Bellingham's 7 goals give England an individual landmark that will outlast the bronze medal noise. The record matters because England's attack has been shared across the team, rather than built around one traditional center forward. Calling him the tournament's only defining player would be lazy, but ignoring his influence would be worse. Jude Bellingham became the first Englishman to score 7 goals at a single World Cup, according to the supplied reporting. The 7th came against France in the third-place playoff, giving the Real Madrid midfielder a record that belongs to this tournament, not to his entire England career. That distinction matters. This isn't England's all-time scoring record, it's a single World Cup mark, and it shows how Bellingham has attacked space from midfield while England's forward line kept opponents guessing. He isn't waiting for the game to come to him. 7 goals is huge. The harder question is whether England can protect that freedom without asking Bellingham to rescue every difficult evening. If midfield turns one player into a scorer, creator, presser, and emergency firefighter, the record becomes a warning as well as a celebration. Bellingham's record belongs to England, but the biggest individual race is still alive in the final. Kylian Mbappe has the lead, and Lionel Messi has one last match to erase it. Mbappe leads Messi by 2 goals in World Cup Golden Boot race. The Golden Boot race is a genuine final storyline, not another lazy comparison between two famous names. Mbappe's 2-goal advantage gives him control, while Messi's final appearance keeps the award exposed to one explosive night. The headline helps both players. Mbappe gets the chase spotlight, and Messi gets another chance to make the story dramatic. Kylian Mbappe leads Lionel Messi 10-8 in the 2026 World Cup Golden Boot race after scoring twice against England. Mbappe plays for Real Madrid, and Messi and Argentina must still overtake him in the final against Spain. Messi hasn't won the Golden Boot yet. That remains unresolved. One match can turn a comfortable lead into a footnote, especially when the player chasing it is Argentina's captain and the final offers football's biggest stage. The award won't decide who had the better career. That's a different argument, and frankly, it's had enough oxygen. This race is about the final. Mbappe watching the score, Messi chasing the number, and Spain trying to stop either player finding the space that turns a tactical plan into confetti. England's biggest positive came with a midfield question attached. Mainoo missed the playoff, and the supplied evidence doesn't tell us why or when he'll return. Mainoo's status after England's win over France remains unclear. The uncertainty is the story. Inventing a diagnosis would only create noise around a player who needs clarity. Mainoo's absence shows England had enough depth to beat France, but it leaves Tuchel's midfield choices harder to assess. Supporters deserve an update, not a confident guest dressed up as medical reporting. Mainoo, who plays for Manchester United, missed England's third-place playoff victory over France. The supplied source evidence doesn't confirm his condition or explain his absence, so his status has to be reported cautiously. There isn't a confirmed diagnosis and there isn't a return date. That's all we can responsibly say right now. England won 6-4 without him, but one wild match doesn't settle whether Mainoo is central to Tuchel's preferred midfield or one option among several. This is where football coverage gets silly. A player misses one game and the internet produces a prognosis, a timetable, and 3 imaginary arguments with the manager. Mainoo's actual situation remains unclear, and that matters because England's midfield was already part of the tournament's tactical debate. England's match produced too much football. FIFA's hydration breaks produced too many interruptions for plenty of viewers, and Arsene Wenger says the policy is heading for a review. FIFA to review 2026 World Cup hydration breaks after criticism. The review is confirmed, but a rule change isn't. Player welfare gives the breaks a serious purpose, while fan frustration shows that the match experience still matters. FIFA has to protect players without turning big moments into scheduled admin. Hydration breaks were used during the 2026 World Cup, and Arsene Wenger said they hadn't been popular. FIFA will review their impact after the tournament, but there's no confirmation that the breaks have been abolished or permanently changed. The criticism is easy to understand. A tense match builds pressure, a counterattack begins, and suddenly everyone is standing around while the tournament remembers the weather. Still, the review isn't proof that the breaks altered results. The supplied facts don't support that claim. The test is whether FIFA can explain the policy clearly and apply it consistently. Fans can accept player protection more easily than unexplained disruption, especially when rhythm is the entire tactical currency. While fans argue about interruptions, FIFA is counting a much bigger success. The reported money is enormous, and that makes complaints about access impossible to wave away. FIFA expected to announce record $15 billion World Cup revenue. The approximately $15 billion figure is expected, not an officially published final account. Hospitality and secondary ticketing are understood to have driven much of the increase, which says plenty about who could afford the tournament. Record commercial income looks less impressive while supporters question ticket prices and access. FIFA is expected to announce about $15 billion in revenue from the 2026 Men's World Cup, according to The Guardian. That figure hasn't been presented as audited final accounts, so the wording matters. It's a reported expectation, not a completed financial statement. Hospitality and the secondary ticket market are understood to have driven much of the increase. That tells you where the commercial power sits. A record figure can coexist with ordinary supporters feeling priced out, because the revenue model doesn't need every fan to have equal access. And that's the uncomfortable part. FIFA can celebrate record income while supporters ask why attending the tournament feels like a luxury purchase. The money belongs to the organization's commercial machine. It hasn't been promised directly to fans. The final has a practical complication before a ball is kicked. Spain's planned session was canceled by thunderstorms in New Jersey, leaving preparation disrupted but the match untouched. Spain cancel final training session before Argentina World Cup final. The cancellation affects routine, not the fixture itself. Spain's indoor warm-up limited the disruption, while the weather removed a final chance to rehearse on the match surface. There is no reported injury from the cancellation, so lineup speculation would be pure guesswork. Spain's final training session before Sunday's World Cup final against Argentina was canceled because of thunderstorms and lightning risk in New Jersey. The players instead took part in an indoor warm-up session, and the final hasn't been postponed. That sounds mundane until you remember how much preparation goes into a World Cup final. Coaches want to check distances, rehearse restarts, and feel the pitch one last time. An indoor session can keep bodies moving, but it can't replace the final outdoor rehearsal before Argentina's attack. There are no reported player injuries caused by the cancellation, so the honest consequence is disruption, not disaster. Spain have lost a piece of routine, and Argentina will still arrive with Lionel Messi waiting for any lapse in concentration. England's bronze has shifted the mood from frustration to belief. Declan Rice is pushing that belief further, but his praise still has to sit beside the semi-final defeat. Declan Rice calls England the best group for a long time after bronze medal finish. Rice's quote sets a higher internal standard, but it doesn't erase the match England failed to win before France. The captain is selling togetherness because England's core now believes it can compete deep into tournaments. Supporters can enjoy the optimism without pretending bronze is the same as lifting the trophy. Declan Rice, who plays for Arsenal, said England were the best group for a very long time after securing third place. His words fit the mood around the squad, especially after England beat France 6-4. But England had lost their semi-final before that win. Rice didn't call them the best team in the world, and the quote shouldn't be stretched into a trophy claim. It describes the squad's unity, not a rewriting of the tournament bracket. That balance matters. England's best result since 1966 deserves pride, while the semi-final remains the real test of how close they came to the final. Tuchel's next pressure is simple: turn this group into a team that wins the decisive match. And that brings us to the wider record book, where tournament numbers are starting to compete with the matches themselves. One caution first, this supplied item gives a records-focused headline, not a verified statistical table. FIFA World Cup 2026 all records so far. Top scorers, goals, assists, clean sheets, and historic milestone. The record story is useful as a map of the tournament, but its evidence here is too thin for invented leaders or totals. Bellingham's 7 goals and Mbappe's 10 are confirmed within the supplied package, while other categories need proper sourcing. Football's numbers are brilliant until someone fills an empty column with confidence. The supplied source describes FIFA World Cup 2026 records across top scorers, goals, assists, clean sheets, and historic milestones. It doesn't provide verified figures for every category, so we won't manufacture an assists leader, a clean sheet total, or a tournament-wide goal count just to make the graphic look busy. What we can confirm is already significant. Jude Bellingham scored 7 goals for England at one World Cup, while Kylian Mbappe leads Lionel Messi 10-8 in the Golden Boot race before the final. England also finished third, their best World Cup result since 1966. That combination tells the real story better than a padded list. The tournament has produced individual records, a historic England finish, a live scoring race, and a final built around Spain's attempt to contain Messi. Every number still needs needs a source before it earns a headline. The weather changed Spain's preparation, but Luis de la Fuente's tactical choice matters far more. Spain won't assign a dedicated man marker to Lionel Messi, and that puts their whole structure under pressure. Spain will not man mark Lionel Messi in World Cup final. Spain are choosing collective control over a single defender following Messi around the pitch. Not man-marking Messi doesn't mean leaving him alone. It means trusting zones, pressure, and midfield distances to close his routes. If Spain's shape stretches, the decision will look brave for 5 seconds and reckless for the remaining 90. Luis de la Fuente said Spain won't assign a dedicated man marker to Lionel Messi in the final. He also said Spain will pay close attention to Argentina's captain, which is the crucial detail. Messi won't be left completely unmarked. Spain's choice protects their possession identity. A dedicated marker can drag the defensive shape out of position, opening the spaces Messi wants to find. The trade-off is obvious, though, because zonal control only works when the nearest player reacts quickly and the next player covers the escape route. The biggest unresolved question is still waiting in the final. Can Spain control Lionel Messi without assigning him a marker? That answer will decide whether Spain's structure survives Argentina's pressure or one clever movement turns a tidy tactical idea into a panicked chase. So the sharp verdict is this. England beat France 6-4 to finish third at 2026 World Cup. And that bronze medal is England's best finish since 1966, even if Thomas Tuchel still has defensive work to do. Bellingham's 7-goal record is genuine. Mbappe's 2-goal lead over Messi remains vulnerable. And Mainoo's status is unconfirmed. Spain's preparation was disrupted by weather, while their Messi plan depends on collective discipline rather than a private escort. FIFA may have record revenue, but the tournament still has questions about access, interruptions, and whose experience counts.